All right. Well, sorry for that slightly delayed start. Yeah, I'm trying to get through all this as fast as possible for all of you guys. Thank you for coming. This is just a quick overview of what we're going to be looking at tonight. Just going to touch on the overview, game procedure, rules, how to ref, and the expectations for spectators and how they can help. So, for Microsoccer, it's just a 4v4 league. We don't want teams going up to 5v5 because players aren't getting enough touches on the ball at that point, and it kind of turns into just a mash of players going up and down the field. They're not looking for passes or open teammates or anything. It is okay to go to 3v3 if you need like you're short on players or something like that. There are no goalkeepers. Our goals are small enough that it should be a challenge enough for players, even without the goalkeeper in the way. There's no standings or recorded scores, and the focus is on fun, learning, and making memories. So for your games, fields will be lined and goals will be waiting for you, so you don't have to worry about that. We do ask that you bring a game ball. Each team should bring at least one game ball. I'd recommend two or three, just in case the other team forgets one, or it's good to have spares too, so you can, while you're reffing around, you can just hold the ball. If it goes out of play, you can throw it down on the ground without the game starting already. We do use size 3 balls across every division in Microsoccer. Um, Games have a 50-minute time slot and then 10 minutes before the next game starts. So it's pretty tight. So just make sure you're getting off the field when your game is over because the next game's going to start going. Um, Typically, teams break it up into two halves of about 20 minutes and take about a 5-minute halftime. And you might be thinking that's only 45 minutes, but your teams also probably spend about 5 minutes getting set up. And this is something you guys can change, like on a game by game basis. Say it's like really hot, you want to take an extra break, that's totally fine. Just talk to the other team and agree about that. There's also teams where they have so many players and they have so much energy that they don't even want to take a halftime. And so if both teams are fine with that, then it's fine with us. Co-ed teams should have at least one girl on each field unless both teams agree otherwise before the game. Sometimes, girl or two is just sick and now they only have a couple girls on the team. So it might not even be possible, but that's the goal you should strive for. And just be like understanding of the other team too. Don't get mad at them because they had sick players. You'll be playing two 4v4 games at once. One coach from each team will be on one field, so there's only one adult on each field at all times. More than one adult just kind of gets in the way. You don't need to be joysticking the players either. Just let them play and discover the game on their own. And we also have the team zone, which is an area just for players and coaches. So, looking at our field layout here, you can see our updated team zone in the middle here. There's room in the middle for spectators still. This has kind of been a divisive topic in microsoccer. Coaches love the team zone. Spectators do not really like the team zone. Spectators want to be with their kids. And the kids on the sidelines start to get antsy and want to run over to the parents. But think of the team zone as like the team dugout. All right. It's like a place for the coach to have the kids ready, focus on the game. They're still learning by watching others play, and they're ready to sub in at a moment's notice. If you have a kid that's over with their parent over here on the sideline, then the coach here doesn't know where they are and they can't sub them in the game. So having your kid in the team zone allows them more playtime. And as you see here, two 4v4 games going on at once, substitutes in the middle. Each team has one coach out there and one coach on the sidelines managing substitutes. The build outline is enforced when there's a goal kick, and the team who kicks it out has to retreat behind the build outline. Go back to this. On this field on the right here, you can see they're taking a goal kick. And so the red team has retreated all the way back behind the halfway line, which is the build outline. It's okay for this blue player to be over on the other side, but the red players all have to be on this side. And that's pretty much the build outline. Other levels of soccer also use the build outline. It's usually like about right here, but for Microsoccer, we choose the half line. We do kick-ins instead of throw-ins. We want them practicing with their feet primarily at this age. And that also leads into my next point of no headers. It's just not very good for their brain development at this age. and throw-ins kind of lead to headers because they're throwing the ball up in the air. So kick-ins just help avoid that as well. If someone does head the ball intentionally, just treat it as almost like a handball and just drop the ball there and award it to the other team. Even if it's a goal, do that. There is no slide tackling. Kids this age, they're still learning how to use their bodies. They're gonna flop, they're gonna trip. But it's pretty obvious when a kid is intentionally slide tackling, because it'll happen like 5 times. At that point, you need to take the kid aside, remind them not to. And if they continue to do it, you can remove them from the game or give them a timeout. One of the main concerns of slide tackling is they can get trampled at this level. Remember how I said if you go above 4v4, that's just a bunch of kids running back and forth. That can still happen at 4v4. It's just a little less likely, but when that does happen and someone slide tackles, that kid can get trampled. So it's not a good safe thing to do. There's no hanging on the goals or playing with the netting or playing with the flags. If you see a child doing that, please go ahead and remind them not to. Usually kids are pretty agreeable to that. Also, our goals are like pretty small. You can't really hang on them that well, but some of them do still try. Teams who don't show up to their games or don't have enough players or habitually late are going to be fined their $100 team deposit. Um, Teams who remain in good standing at the end of the season, which is most teams, they do get that refund back. There are unlimited substitutions, and you can make substitutes at any time the play stops. Oh, and you can say like if players on field A here, if they get subbed out, take a little break, they can also get subbed onto the other field too. It's not like they're stuck to one field. Sometimes coaches decide like, no, this is going to be my team on field A, this is going to be my team on field B. Sometimes you want to talk to the other coach. Maybe they have a similar situation, so it's always good to talk to the coach. But yeah, you can substitute between fields. Uniforms were pretty lenient. We pretty much just want everyone to be able to see who their teammates are, and the best way to do that is just by colors, like a red shirt or a blue shirt. Names and numbers are not required. They can be helpful for the coaches, especially for the other team. Um, but yeah, they're not required. It just kind of helps keep costs down for joining. Soccer cleats or athletic shoes are fine. We just can't have any baseball cleats. They have a cleat on the front toe, which makes it a little dangerous for soccer. Shin guards are required. Either the strap on or the slip in is fine. There's not a huge difference in protection for either of those, honestly. It's kind of just whatever the player likes. No jewelry, watches, earrings, bracelets, or rings. Soft bracelets are like fine, but I wouldn't recommend it because they'll still get tugged on and they might break. And now you have a broken bracelet and a sad player. So just leave the bracelet on the sideline. For arm casts, you should first ask your doctor. They're a way higher authority on anything medical than I am. If they say it's okay for them to play, then our rules come into play, and it must be a soft cast in order to participate. Because hard cast can hurt other players, like when they're just running around or just putting it up to brace themselves. Um, I've been asked if they can wrap it in bubble wrap before, and I don't really like that because it still can be just a heavy object that they're swinging around while they're running. So to ref a micro game, because the coaches do act as the referees on the game, you're going to want to inspect the field, look for holes or glass or dog poop or anything. If there's like a hole, you might want to put a cone out there on top of it or just make sure the players are aware where it is. You want to inspect the goals. Those are still pretty new, so if there's any problems with them, I'll be a little surprised, but it's still good to check. You want to talk to the other coach and decide who's going to ref which field, because once again, only one adult per field. You'll discuss the length of each half and halftime. And you might want to also decide which players will start on field A and field B, and you might want to talk to the other coach about that too. And admin, I gave you all the contact list for everybody. You should utilize that before the games, talk to them. Just introduce yourself, say like, hey, this is what my team is like. Talk about your skill level, if you have some engaged kids, some not engaged kids, a mix of the two. And you two can kind of come up with a good plan together. Before the game starts, bring both teams to the center circle to introduce yourself and ask for their names. Sometimes if you're running late, it can be kind of hard to ask everyone's name, but it's a good way to start off on a good foot with the players. You're going to want to inspect uniforms, basically just cleats and shin guards, make sure everyone has the proper cleats and shin guards. You can do a coin toss to determine which team will get to kick off, or since there's one coach on each team, that coach could just defer the first kickoff to the other team. Usually everyone thinks that's totally fair. Then you're just going to switch sides at halftime anyways, and the other team is going to kick off, so it evens out. Also, once again, we're not keeping scores, so. You're going to want to make sure to use your outside voice out there because we can't have any whistles. The fields are a little too close to each other. So if you blow a whistle on one field, the other field your team's playing on, or even another field where two other completely different teams are going to hear a whistle and think it's for them and just get confused. And so it's just best to leave the whistles at home. I think I've touched on the one referee per field enough. Referees coach both teams equally. We want to make sure that it's a learning environment for both teams, and you don't want to be joysticking the players, like pass the Johnny over there, or like make sure you're running back. You want to just keep it simple, maybe say like, look who's open, stuff like that, like guided questions, or we have some suggested language for you to use that I'll touch upon later, like shouting out shape or something like that. Just things to get the players to think about the game instead of giving them exact directions. That's called joysticking, and we don't like that. So doesn't really help the player learn. This just splits their mind. They're thinking about the game. They hear you yelling. Now they're confused. The other team gets the ball. Now they're frustrated. Usually what end up happening. So for kickoffs, the ball starts in the middle of the center circle. Um, yeah, so on the field here, we have a kickoff. So he's starting in the center circle here with the ball. Um, you can have two in there. It's usually typical to have two. The defending team cannot enter the circle until the ball moves forward at least one revolution. Don't be like too much of a stickler on that. If the ball moves forward, the ball moves forward. You cannot score from a kickoff. It's considered an indirect kick, which means it has to go to another player first, whether that's your team or the other team. Um, Kickoff must be retaken if the ball does not move forward, an attacking player crosses the midfield line before the ball moves forward, or a defending player crosses the midfield line or enters the circle before a ball moves forward. And the ball can be kicked to a teammate with a sideways pass, or it can be kicked anywhere up the field, but just not shot at goal. Again, with our example here, we have the red team getting ready to kick off. They have their buddy here ready to receive the ball. They're just going to kick it slightly forward over here. They can run up and grab it. Player can also just be standing at the line too. All the blue players are outside of the circle, ready to defend and react to whatever happens here. Yeah, so like once they kick it there, this player can either pass it back, try to go forward, anything. The game's live. So for restart plays, the times where you can make substitutions basically. That'll be the kickoff to start the game. You're going to do the kickoff for the second half as well, and after any goal is scored. And so when a goal is scored, the team who was scored on then gets to do the kickoff. Kick-ins replace throw-ins. Corner kicks are when the defending team kicks it out on their own goal line, and goal kicks are when the attacking team kicks it out on the opposing goal line. And then remember, when they do that, field two here, they're retreating back behind their own line after they kicked it out on the blue side. Free kicks, these are given for fouls, handballs, headers, etc. These are all indirect kicks only, so they have to touch another player before they can be shot at goal. It can't just be shot directly at goal. There's no offsides in our league. It's just kind of too complicated of a concept for kids this age to fully understand. But we don't want cherry picking either. Basically, we don't want any kid ever to just be standing around the goal, whether they're attacking that goal or defending that goal. We want them around the ball, engaged in the active play, not just standing around waiting. Um, so if you see a kid cherry picking or trying to play goalkeeper, just remind them to get up into the game and get active. Um, and yeah, just make sure you finish your game 10 minutes before the hour, so you have time to line up, high five, and get all your stuff ready so you can leave the field and the next game can start. We have games like back to back to back. There's a lot of games going on. For handballs, that's when like a player blatantly uses their hands to control the ball or even shoot. When that happens, just stop the play, explain what happened, and then award the ball to the other team. Again, this would be an indirect kick. Can't score off of it. It's not a handball if they're just protecting themselves, like if they're like blocking the ball from their face. I wouldn't call a handball on that. If they're not trying to control the ball, like they're just running and the ball gets kicked at their arm, then that wouldn't be a handball either. You can kind of just use your judgment. The one thing I will say on that is just be consistent. I touch on that later. Consistency is key and will save you. So if you're calling a handball for it being kicked at their arm, then just call the next one for it being kicked at their arm, even though you should just be playing on. But yeah, just be consistent. If a ball is handled, but the other team maintains possession and has like a good chance to run up on the other team's goal or something like that, that would be called advantage, and you can play on for that reason. So, say someone kicks the ball at me, and I put my hand up when I'm not supposed to. It's like over here, and I'm like trying to block it for some reason. And I'm like, oh, whoops, I shouldn't have done that. But it falls to the other team, and now they have a direct shot at goal. Then you should let the other team take that shot at goal. It's not their fault the other team made a handball. So some referee techniques. As the game's going, you might want to take like move along the sidelines. I think in these examples we have the coaches along the sidelines here, kind of on the outside. And it's good to be over here because you can see more of the field than if you were just like in the center here. Because if you're here, then you're not seeing what's behind you. If you're here, you can kind of use your peripherals to see more. And if you're worried about getting gassed out, running across the field the whole time, you pretty much just need to run around between these 2 points. So like about half the field in the center. Just because you can see over most of the players usually. And yeah, you should be fine. Oops. Come on. There you go. When the ball goes out of play, you can just simply shout like shark's ball or yellow ball. That's usually the easiest way is just shout the team's color. That lets the players know whose ball it is and who gets to do the kick in. And make sure you're praising all players, not just your own. The other team gets a goal, make sure you're clapping for them. Spectators too, please also clap for everything. Cheer along for everybody. Um, in order for the one referee system to work, the referee must help both teams equally. You're gonna ruin your own credibility out there if you're playing favorites, and then parents are gonna get angry, everyone's gonna turn against you, and it's just not gonna be good. So just make sure you're being fair to both teams, treating them both like they're your own players, and you should be all right. They're kids after all. And make sure you set your boundaries and be consistent in their enforcement. Like what I talked about the handball rule. If you're calling a handball for one thing for one instance, make sure you're calling it for the next instance that happens. If you're calling a foul because someone just ran into someone a little too hard, make sure you're calling the foul for that the next time. You are the ambassador of good sportsmanship, and the best way to teach it is to demonstrate it. So just be positive out there, as positive as you can. Positivity is contagious. So yeah, just be a good role model for the kids. For rough play, our ultimate goal is, of course, to ensure a safe playing environment, and a lot of these rules are in place to help ensure that. But it is a physical contact sport. Players will come together. There will be collisions. Most of them are not going to be malicious. They are kids. They're learning to use their bodies still at this age. And so some of them, maybe they got a growth spurt, they're still not used to it. They're going to accidentally plow into somebody. Don't get angry at the kid. Just explain to them that they need to be a little more careful, ask them to apologize, and then everyone can move on. If there is excessive pushing and shoving or slide tackling or shirt pulling or taunting, call the players in, explain to them what you're seeing out on the field and that it's not acceptable. I like it this way because you're bringing everybody in. You're not like zeroing in on one player right away. Sometimes it is just one player, but even bringing in everyone and talking about it as a group, it makes the player not feel singled out, and that can help them adjust their behavior and not like get angry about it. You might want to also call over the team parent or assistant coach from the other team as well, so everyone's on the same page and it doesn't look like you're just lambasting these kids. And it's more of a conversation that way. If necessary, you can remove a child from the game. It's pretty rare that you'll end up having to do that. Usually, a 5 minute timeout is plenty for them. And you can just like talk to the other sideline coach again and make sure they understand why and like maybe like tell them the duration that you think they should have a timeout, like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, just so that they know not to just throw them in the other field immediately. If one team is stronger than the other, we do have teams indicate if they're beginner, intermediate, or advanced, and we try to keep them within that group. Um, but at this age group, a lot of teams don't really know what level they are. This is their first time playing. You could be way above the curve, you could be way below the curve, and you won't really know until the first game. So, did I go? Oh yeah. So you can add extra rules. Team that's doing a lot better, like pass 3 times. Tell players they can only be in their own half. Use your left foot. You can't go across the build out line until the ball passes it completely. Stuff like that can help the other team build momentum and get a shape going and start making a play. And if players are kind of resistant to these extra rules, a simple "I bet you can't" or "show me you can." I like the second one a lot. It really encourages them, like, okay, yeah, I'll show you, and they'll be a lot more happy taking on that extra challenge. For managing sidelines, the spectators, parents on the field, if they start saying some mean things, don't get into discussions or arguments with the sidelines. Just remember that you are the ref and you're the one in charge. That's true for every single sport. The ref is the one with the final word. Just remain calm, try to shrug it off. I will say, I say this every meeting, the last thing you should do is laugh at them. Sometimes when they're getting really heated over a kindergarten or first grade soccer game, it can be a little, like, I kind of want to laugh at them sometimes, I'll be honest. But learn from my mistakes. Laughing at them will just make them more angry. Um, just give the parents respect and ask for respect in return. It's a collaborative league. We're all working together, and spectators play a big part on that too. Um, you can also enlist the support of the other team's coach and ask them to talk with their parents. That's also a very good way of managing the sidelines. Because it's a group of people you don't really know, but their voice of the other coach will go a lot farther. If the situation continues, just do not engage any further. Ignore them if you can, and contact the league admin on Monday. You can also go report it to our field marshals, and they're able to take notes on that and send it over to me. And then we can discuss it with the other team and take any action if necessary. And if you could just try to gather names if possible, or even like record a little something if things are getting really out of hand. It's really rare that like big issues pop up, but it does happen occasionally. It's kind of like what I was talking about earlier. We all need to work together to make a good environment for the kids. Spectators are a huge part of that too. Um, so just remember, most coaches are parent volunteers. They're just like you. They're just doing a little extra work to help out and make it possible for the kids. So don't get angry with them. Just try to be understanding that they're doing the best that they can. And if you are on the sidelines, you can help by chasing stray soccer balls, keeping players focused on the game and in the team zone, and encouraging all players and thanking the coaches afterwards, even the coach for the other team. That can be really meaningful for a lot of coaches. I want to touch on this chasing stray soccer balls here. Go all the way back to my diagram. So for the team zone, we used to actually ask spectators to only be on the outside here, but it started to feel a little unrealistic, and I wanted to make sure parents were getting a good experience too. So that's why we introduced this. And typically, I have said no spectators behind the goals because it can cause distraction for the kids. And this is still true at Little Rec. They're still getting distracted by squirrels and trees and planes and clouds and everything. They're little kids. But at Marina Green, this is worthwhile because there's a parking lot right over here. And I hate seeing a ball start going and people just watching a kid run into the parking lot to chase after the ball. I think it's pretty negligent. And so having people here is a great way to stop that from happening. And yeah, so I do encourage people to stand there now, actually. Um, Also another way sidelines and coaches can both help is by I just got a message. Are the shin guards that cover knee with padding allowed? Yes, that is allowed. It's just at least there's something. Utilize the common language. There's a full document on our website and on the Sprocket app. I'll also be sending this out in our weekly messages on Friday. So these are just like simple words that help players focus on the game instead of, like I said earlier, saying pass to Johnny or like make sure you're doing this. Saying shape invites them to look up around at their teams, see like what's going on and stuff like that. Scan, support, build, break. And this document goes further into that, so I suggest taking a look at that too. Spectator rules of conduct, no sideline coaching. This is known as joysticking. You're not there to play FIFA, you're there to watch your kids play soccer, so let them play. They're going to learn a lot more just by self-discovery and doing it themselves. Make sure you're giving out positive comments for all players. We touched on this earlier, even the other team. Just make sure everyone's having a good time. Um, Please don't drop your children off in the parking lot and have them run to their team. They should be escorted at this age at all times to fields and to the bathrooms as well. If a ball goes out of bounds, try to stop it from going to the next field or into the parking lot, as we talked about. There's no dogs allowed on our fields. It's part of our permits. And so we want to keep our permits and we don't want the city to revoke them for next season. So we have to ask you all to please keep your dogs at home. I know dogs outnumber kids in the city at this point. So it can be easier said than done, but please just try to keep your dogs away. And if you do have to bring your dog, please at least like take your kid to the field and then take your dog on a walk. There is a difference, at least according to our permits, of a dog walking around the fields and a dog hanging out at the soccer fields. Now, what I mean by around is like going around like on the sidewalk around it, not just like patrolling the fields. There's no alcohol allowed at our fields. I know it's a very pretty location over at Marina Green, and it might be nice to have a little drink, some might think, but we just gotta try to keep it classy. So please do not tailgate your child's soccer game. No inappropriate behaviors such as profane language, gestures, and threatening behavior. Those will result in an immediate expulsion from our league, and our expulsions are known to be honored by other leagues in the city as well. Um, Parents are not allowed on the field or player area between fields except to assist an injured player. That is the one time parents can go onto the field and assist their kid. And yeah, just make sure you're respecting the referee. As we talked about, it's a volunteer most likely. They're just doing the best that they can, and without them, your kid wouldn't be playing at all. And just gently remind other parents of the expectation. And yeah, just try to help remind them if you see them starting to slip. For rainouts, SFRPD makes the final call on that, and then we'll communicate it to you. Sometimes it's a little tough to know what the weather in San Francisco is going to be like. At least for this weekend, we're in for some decent weather. On that note, with the decent weather, the better the weather, the earlier you should leave for your game because the more people come to the city and makes traffic terrible. Um, we did institute alternating start times in Marina Green this season to try and help with the parking situation there. So I'll be interested to hear your feedback on that. Yeah, for rainouts, we will send a message as soon as we can, the morning of. Sometimes we can tell the day before, like if it's storming, our fields are just going to be too soaked for us to play anyways. So we'll know ahead of time. But sometimes if it's like, oh, it might rain Saturday, we kind of just have to play it by ear and do the best that we can. So we appreciate your patience in that too. We also have it up on our website too, if it'll be rained out, so you can check there if you missed the message. And for this season, if there is a rain out, that day's games will be moved to May 9th. So right now, the last game is on May 2nd. But say April 11th gets rained out or March 28th, then that day will get moved to May 9th and games will maintain their same time and field number. So it should make it a little more easy to know what's going to happen. Final notes. I would encourage you to talk to your team parent or your parents on your team about your developmental mission. And just know this is a developmental league, like obviously for kids, but it's a developmental league for parents too. A lot of parents, this is the first time that they're entering their kid into a sport. And so they're learning a lot too, even just about getting to the field, getting everything ready in time. It's a lot on their plates. So just have an understanding about that. And try to get them to shift their focus from results, like winning, because we don't even keep scores. There's no point. Like, there's no player that's going to be getting a scholarship to a D1 school after Microsoccer. All right, that's going to happen way later in life. So just get your parents to shift their focus from the results to the developmental journey, and you should have a good season then. And make sure you honor your opponents. I said this about the referee, but it's true about your opponent too. Without an opponent, there is no game. And a worthy opponent challenges to do our best and reach new heights. And so we got to honor that. And we must respect opponents and remember they are members of our community too. And they might even be your teammates next season. You know, you never know what's going to happen. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I know I went through some things pretty fast. So if you have any questions, feel free to put those in the chat. I think the chat should be open. So we just have the one so far. Oh, yes, some of the games are at Golden Gate Park. That is true. I did talk mostly about Marina Green. Most teams are over there, and we do have some changes happening at Marina Green, so that's kind of why I was touching on them more. But yes, some are at Little Rec in Golden Gate Park. Is there a specific way to keep track of time? I would suggest deputizing someone on the sideline for that. So you have enough on the field to worry about. Keeping track of time is something that's kind of going to go out the wayside. So having someone on the sidelines managing that, calling out like, oh, 5 minutes till 20 minutes or like whatever, like 5 minutes till your halftime, that can be a huge help to you. Lauren, yeah, each team is supposed to bring a game ball. It doesn't need to be like a competition level game ball. It just needs to be like a size 3 soccer ball. As long as it bounces, it should be fine. And I didn't say I would recommend bringing two or three, just in case maybe the other team forgot. Or it's just good to have one on hand. Like if you have an extra, the coach can be just holding one in their hand during the game. And then if it gets kicked out, they can just put it at the player's feet and the game's starting immediately. And then a parent can go chase that loose ball, put it at the sideline, and then the coach can grab it when they're ready. Mike, that would depend on your team. Feel free to, you should be able to just open up the Sprocket Sports app or log in at sfvikings.com, and then you should be able to see your team schedule. It should pop up under your player's name. Then you can just click that and then go to schedule. Typically, pre-K, DK, and K co-ed are the ones playing at Little Rec for the most part. So if you have a first grader, they're probably at Marina Green. The fields at Little Rec just a little too small. Babin, go ahead and email me. The reality is on 328, it's gonna be a lot of teams short on numbers. We're only allotted one bye week for each season, and excuse me, this one we had to assign for the Easter weekend because there's another event that uses the fields that we use, so we just can't have it on that day at all. Luckily, that does coincide with a lot of spring break too, but the first weekend of spring break, 328, it's going to be a lot light numbers for a lot of teams. So go ahead and email me about that, and I can try to figure something out for you and the other team. The master schedule is on our website. It should just, if you go to sfvikings.com and then click Microsoccer and go to our Microsoccer homepage, there's the schedule right there. You should also be able to just open up your Sprocket Sports app. If you don't have that yet, I would recommend downloading it. Then you can just sign in there and see your full schedule. And that gets updated too if like there's a schedule change. Glad you're excited, Monica. Oh yeah, Babin, that's great if you include the other coach. But you could also just email me and I'll include them in too. Well, all right. I think if that's it for the questions, I don't think I missed any. All right. Yeah, thank you everybody for coming. I really appreciate it. Oh, thanks, Babin.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All righty. Have a great night, everybody. And if you see me on the fields, feel free to say hi. You'll probably find me under the yellow canopies at some point or just walking around the fields. All right. Have a great night.